like a bowl of Rice Krispies. Snap, crackle, pop. Dad and I are taking Elsworth here on Hot Rod Power Tour, but that means we've got a whole lot of work to do to make sure that we have a reliable, comfortable cruise in old Elsworth here. So that's what we're taking care of this week. We've got a lot to do. One of the things that I'm really kind of concerned about is we don't have any covering over the bed here. So if we run into any weather, anything we have in the back of this thing is going to get completely soaked. The options here are tonneau cover or a truck topper. Now, my grandpa had a truck topper for this truck. The issue is that we shortened the bed on this thing, so now our 8-foot topper is not going to fit on the bed. I've got a few ideas on how we're going to remedy that situation. We've got rotten window seals that we need to take care of, and a couple other little odds and ends things inside the cab just to make it a little bit more comfortable for us. What that means is I've got the truck loaded down here with a whole bunch of parts, tools, and everything that I'm gonna need this weekend. But the truck topper's down at my dad's place, and so I've got a little bit of drive ahead of me. So we're gonna hit the road, we're gonna get down there, we're gonna put some work in tonight and tomorrow and see just how road trip worthy we can get Elsworth this weekend. So I made it back to Dad's shop here. It's kind of late. It's about 10:30 at night. We're going to get started tonight, though. Not going to start on the topper just yet because it's kind of buried out in the yard. But I want to start on a couple other things. So the first thing I want to get after here is our window seal set. Now, I purchased a full seal set from Steel Rubber Products. What you see here are the wing window rubbers and then the standard window, like side window felts and rubbers. This is the seal for the windshield. I've got this laid out because it comes all kind of rolled up, and I've read multiple things about how difficult and challenging these windshield seals with the trim are. And one of the things that's recommended is to lay it out ahead of time, kind of let it remove some of that memory it's got of being coiled up and everything. Right as soon as I got here and pulled in, the engine was still pretty warm. It's not anymore, but I laid this out on top of the hood, which was kind of warm. We're going to continue to straighten it out and kind of form it to the shape of the window over the course of tonight, and tomorrow maybe we'll put it out in the sun. Not 100% sure we're going to get to this windshield seal, only because I'm like 100 miles from home, and if we tear this or we screw something up with the windshield, I'm kind of screwed on getting back home. So if we're feeling brave and if we've got the time, we'll tackle this. Otherwise, Jeff and I are going to do that back home. But tonight, what I want to tackle are the window seals and the wing window seals. So the first thing we need to do, we need to get in here. We've got to pull off our panel here, our interior panel, door handle, the window crank, get this door panel off, and then we're going to have to take out the window regulator and the glass. So I've not done that yet. When I rebuilt this truck, I left all the internals and all that stuff in the door. I didn't do anything but clean up the original door panels. So we'll see how challenging that is. Hopefully we don't have hardware that's too rusted or broken up. So I spent quite a bit of time last night getting the passenger side done here. Seals fit fairly well. I'm not super happy with the fit of the felt moldings on the inside. There's a couple that kind of want to pop out every so often, but we went ahead, we greased up the regulator on the inside, just got everything moving smooth, and yeah, everything's super nice. So now that I've got one done here, I'm going to walk you guys through doing the other side. It was actually pretty simple. About the only thing I struggled with were these vent windows, the seal for the vent windows, and once I kind of figured out how to get those popped into place, it wasn't too bad. So I'll walk you guys through a couple tips and tricks on that. And yeah, we'll go ahead and get the driver's side pulled apart and get to it. For you eagle-eyed observers, you'll notice that this is the passenger side and not the driver's side. That's because I did not film taking off the door card on the driver's side. The first thing you need to do is remove the window crank with one screw, then the door handle with one screw, and then the 2 screws inside the door pull, and then lastly, you need to pop the clips off the back of the door card. Next, I removed the window felts using this trim removal tool. These are a little bit tricky to get out at first. You've got to wedge them up against the glass, but they will come out without pulling out the glass. Next, we need to take the wing window assembly loose, and that's done by removing this lower bolt and these 3 screws on the outside of the door frame. With the wing window assembly loose and leaned out of the way, the next thing you need to do is roll the lower track out of the window regulator arm. With the regulator arm disconnected, you can now remove the glass. With the window out of the way, the wing window and the track can now be removed from the top of the door. I then started to remove all of the felt seals out of the track inside the door. There's also a track extension down inside the door. These 2 bolts on the outside of the door edge remove that track. Now, my door seals were extremely dried out. As you can see here, they were a little bit tough to get out because they were so dry, but I basically just cracked them into pieces and pulled them out of the door track.
I said like a bowl of Rice Krispies. Snap, crackle, pop. Listen to my seals. I bet these are the original seals from 1975 would be my guess.
Yep. They ended up selling it to me dirt fucking cheap.
Next, we're taking apart the wing window assembly. You start by removing this lower nut and spring. And then you're going to remove this 4 screws along the window frame. With those screws out of the way, the track comes apart at the top edge.
Okay, so this seal has been done before. Somebody's been in here because that's a different screw.
Here I'm applying a little bit of penetrating oil to help remove that wing window. It's just going to pull directly up out of the track. With the window out of the way, you can now remove all of the seals out of the assembly.
Break into 1,000 pieces, thank God.
Now it's time for the installation of the new seals in the wing window assembly. Now these seals prove to be the toughest to install, so you can see here I'm applying some glass cleaner to help lubricate the seal and help it pop into the track. Now the bottom of the seal has some raised edges that help it clip into the track, and what I found was those raised edges were very difficult to get down in the track. So you can see here I'm using a trim tool, a plastic trim tool, and I'm lifting the edge of the seal up and helping slide that seal down into place into the track. This allowed me to get the seal fully seated in the track. So this is something that you're going to have to repeat all the way around this seal, because as you're working with it, it'll want to come loose in some places and you'll have to go back and get it popped back into place. But with a little bit of patience, it will fall into place.
So you'll have like...
Now this upper corner is one of the trickier spots. It's very tight space, and the seal starts to kind of push itself together towards the top there. So you're trying to get a lot of material into a very tight space. But again, a little bit of patience goes a long ways.
Seals in, you guys saw that's a struggle. Really, it's just you want to make sure the thing's seated all the way around. As I say that, it looks like I got a little spot here that's not. You can kind of see where it reveals a little bit more of the track. But you just got to be patient. This is not something you're going to rush through. Take your time, have some patience. You can get through this, but it is a bit of a pain to get that seal fit into the track. This is probably the worst part of the entire process, honestly. Aside from in my situation where the seals were so dry rotted that they were just a pain to get out. Beyond this, everything else is pretty much a breeze. The felt just snaps into place, as I'm going to show you guys here in a minute. And we're just going to start putting this thing back together in reverse order. We took it apart, and before you know it, we'll have the seals done on the driver's door as well. Now we're just putting the wing window back together the way we took it apart. There are 2 plastic washers and 2 regular washers. You want to make sure those plastic washers are riding on the bracket. You're going to add the spring back on and then the nut. Once the wing window is back in place at the bottom, the frame at the top gets the 4 screws put back in, which includes the top hinge for the vent window.
Yeah, so basically right as soon as I got this window together, yeah, that came off. That's not supposed to happen. Now, this wing window is toast, actually. I don't know. I'm pretty sure this is my fault from when I was doing all the body work on the cab. At some point, I must have aimed the angle grinder directly at this wing window because the whole thing is pockmarked up, burned up from either weld spatter or from the grinder. So, in light of the fact that I broke off the handle and that this thing's toast, we're just going to order a replacement wing window for this. But for now, I need to get it put back together so I can get home. So I'm going to continue on with putting the felt in the track here. And this felt is actually pretty simple. We're just going to start at the bottom, and the bottom you can see is cut here. And so that's going to go in along the bottom there. And we're just going to push this in all along the way. Do this one-handed here. And just continue to feed it in until we get to the top, and then we'll end up having to trim the top off because there is a little bit of excess in this felt. So I'm going to feed that in, and then we're going to go ahead and stick this back in the door.
The next thing I did here is I pulled out the window regulator. I wanted to make sure I cleaned the entire assembly, scrubbing away any surface rust.
That stuff done even when I'm not there.
The moving parts with white lithium grease.
Which,
I did cycle the regulator a few times just to make sure that the grease penetrated through all of the moving parts, and then I wiped off the excessive grease so as not to have dirt and other debris stick to all of that excess grease and gum things up. I then vacuumed out the bottom of the door. You can see on the floor there I just had a ton of chunks and pieces of the original felt seals, so I wanted to make sure we got the door fully clean before we started assembly. And with the interior of the door clean, I put the window regulator assembly back in place with these 3 bolts. Next, I installed the vent window assembly back into the door, but I only left it loosely hanging in the door, and you'll see why in a minute. I then installed the felt window guides into the door frame all the way down to the bottom where that track extension is, making sure that that felt track liner was seated all the way into the track assembly. Before reinstalling the window, I gave it a quick clean with the blast cleaner. And finally, I lubricated the lower window track with white lithium grease. At this point, the glass can go back in the door, and you'll see my brother there holding the vent window out of the way. That vent window assembly needs to stay out of the way so that you can drop the window in place, slide that lower track onto the roller that's on the window regulator assembly.
okay. Thank you.
And that completes the assembly of the window seals. The last thing you need to do is push the door card back on, install the window crank, the door handle, and the screws in the door pull. gonna be perfect. Now you guys can see the problem. So we had an 8-foot bed, now we don't. You're looking closely here, you might notice we just take this window out and we cut this thing somewhere back here. We should be able to slide everything forward. This piece, if you look in specifically at this piece, might fit right in there. We keep that little bit of angle on the back and we just shorten this thing up like 16 inches. I think it's 20 inches actually. I think I took 16 and then the 4 off the back. So that window comes out. We just move the gate back 20 inches, re-weld everything back up, and we've got a nice shortened topper. The first thing we need to do is get this in the shop. And I'll show you guys the inside of this. Oh yeah, if you didn't know. So this thing is in really good condition. It's been stored indoors its entire life pretty much when it's not been on the truck. So you guys see we've got an aluminum frame here. All that we really need to do is remove this window, chop off basically whatever we're not going to use here, and then section out, take 20 inches off of this, move it back, re-weld the frame, and then cut the siding to fit, and then put all the trim and stuff back on. So it's going to be fairly straightforward to do. The only challenge is going to be the aluminum welding. I'm not great with the TIG welder, so we'll just do the best we can for now. And if it comes down to it, I'll make some brackets to help stiffen it up. But it's got this really cool old light up here. I wonder if that works. That's pretty neat. A wasp nest up there. But it's got the 2 windows that open on the sides too, so that's awesome because it's going to be really helpful to get things in and out of the truck without having to just go through the back all the time. So it's actually a very nice, clean aluminum topper. I think once we get this thing all washed up and cleaned up, it's going to look really good. So we're going to get this in the shop, start coming up with a game plan, and start cutting on this thing. Dad's gone to work getting the back gate off here, and what we're finding out is this is actually should be fairly straightforward, very little actual welding that needs to be done. So let's look at how this thing was constructed. You've got this aluminum tubing frame in here, structure, right? This piece of tubing was welded onto the back here, and then, sorry, it goes like this with this extra little flange here. And then that back gate was actually only screwed into place along this flange here. So Dad cut out a weld along the front edge and the bottom edge there, and a weld along the bottom and the back side there. So very minimal welding. What we need to do is figure out the location where this needs to go, which is going to be up in here somewhere. And we need to shorten this, cut it down, and then we need to make this bottom rail look just like this over here. So we're going to notch some tubing out, clear that out of the way, get this put up into place after we cut the top side up here. And likely we'll end up losing one of these roof structures up here, it looks like. But that's not that big a deal because we're going to have the gate going back in. And so after we cut that, get this fit into place, it's literally one little seam to weld on the bottom and the front, and then along the inside here and the bottom on the inside. So we do that on each side, and once we do that, we can put this thing right back together.
Okay.
Yep, looks pretty straight to me. Is it basically a guide on this top guardrail? Perfect.
Just keeping it pushed right back.
It's going to give you the exact, just like a fence running through there. Yeah, you want everyone to know you could have done it just as good freehand, right? Got it.
Gotcha.
We actually got all that extra aluminum we can use to patch in the back here, so that's going to be nice. So that piece on the back should be the same
So this is 2 inches shorter
than that. Yep.
From here to here is 2 inches.
Yes.
So actually we marked that 2 inches, didn't we? Or not?
That mark is the end, the back. So you want to go 2 inches from
there.
your mark.
Okay.
Right?
Yep. My handy dandy Swanson. I don't have my glasses on, so what is that? A 5, 6, 7, 8.
8 degrees.
8.5.
It's a good spot for you. Throw Rowdy back there with you, give you some company.
Perfect. Oh, don't put me struggling getting up and down.
Okay. Okay.
So now we need to mark 2 inches over from our mark.
Mm-hmm.
Where's our mark at?
Our mark is
right there. Let's take a mark. Here, let's put this on there. And mark it straight across, okay?
Yeah.
Put it where you want. You can put the square the other way if you want to make it easier for you.
That's fine. Yeah, that's the back, so 2 inches over from that.
Yep. So 13 to 11. Triangle this way, right?
Yep. Yes, correct.
Mark right there. You gotta find 8.5. 5, 6, 7, 8.
Yeah.
That's where that goes. Tell me when to stop.
Keep going.
Huh?
Keep going. Yep, yep. Now this is the point where I officially got on the struggle bus. I cannot TIG weld to save my life. I eventually got these pieces stuck together. I don't know if I would call it welded, but stuck together well enough that we believe that that back gate's not going to come loose, especially when you consider it's got nearly 50 screws in it along the roof line and then along those two back flanges.
I think I just bumped your camera. I don't know if you had it
Nope, you're fine.
recording anything or not.
It is. Everything you're doing.
Oh boy.
Don't screw it up.
Whole world's gonna be laughing at Papa, huh? Don't like this.
Yeah, you're hitting something solid there.
That's just a staple.
Perfect timing.
Door back up, please.
Oops. that edge over. Gosh.
It needs to come like that. Do I need to trim it, you think?
I don't know.
See if check out the door and just see if the door will close. Oh yeah, it needs to come back over there. Why don't we just put a screw back in the door right there? You want to put some butyl behind that?
You need to, because it's folded over.
Where's that putty? Not that putty.
The one that's dented on the end of it?
Probably now. Does it look like it's been chiseling on a staple instead of puttying on caulk?
Never misuse your tools. I pulled that one out last Wednesday when I was working with Jeff. So remember, you'd always say never misuse your tools right before you misused your tool.
See, I don't think I ever told you that, but I might have told you it like that. Is that okay? With you?
If I were you, I would have put a piece of glass and made that a window.
The rolls I got of this are small.
There you have it, guys. Got the topper all done. I think it turned out so great. You wouldn't even know we cut this down if you didn't know. We were able to relocate everything and keep the original angles, all that stuff. Use some of the roof skin to make up our new panels in here. It just reminds me of when Grandpa used to have this topper on the truck. We even threw the old work sign on the truck just to pay homage back to what this truck was and how it was used. Really excited and happy with the way this turned out. Now I still got a 90-mile drive back home with this thing, but that's good. Shakedown miles are always a good thing. I will note that the suspension settled pretty significantly over the winter. I'd say it's sagged probably 1.5 inches or so, and I am going to adjust that back up just a little bit. Love the way it looks, don't love the way it rides at the moment. It's sitting very, very low, not a ton of suspension travel at the moment. So we are going to be bringing it up just a little bit for Power Tour, making it ride a little bit more smoother for Dad and I. So that's going to do it for this week's episode, guys. Thank you guys all for watching, subscribing, liking, commenting, all that stuff. I really appreciate the support. We're over 15,000 subscribers now, and I wouldn't be here without all of you guys. So, hey, and even if you want some merch, if you like the shirt, go check out CodyBuilds.com. Stickers, t-shirts, can koozies, all kinds of stuff there. Go check it out, CodyBuilds.com. As always, guys, if you don't work on your projects, they will not work on themselves. Get out in the garage, get building, and I'll see you on next week's episode of Cody Builds.